So if you're trying to capture the body of an email in normal text, not HTML text, there's inside of the Power Suite, of course, you would probably use Power Automate. Although in restricted environments for licensing restrictions or what have you, the HTML to text feature, that step or action may not be available. And when you run into that environment, then you're kind of in trouble because it's very difficult to get this objective met. This is needed if you plan to take your email that you're receiving and turn it into a planner or into whatever, right? It doesn't work very well. So we need to figure out how to actually make that into a list, and then we can move it into other areas. Now I go into great detail around this and how to build this part of this application. Today, I'm really just going to focus on some of the bare basics that you need to get started, to get you past this what can be very frustrating. We're going to focus on how we take in this text and actually converting it to text when it's HTML. Because once we hit save here, we're going to use the patch command and we're going to actually save all of this to a list. Or we could save it to Planner or wherever you want to, because we've got it all in text now. It works perfect. Also, we're going to look at, what about these attachments? Where are they going? And then what are they named? And when they don't have them, how do we say that they're not there? So we're going to take a look at both of those today. Inside of this code, stay tuned. We're going to jump right to it. Okay, so that's kind of the intro. Let's look at the mailbox. Here we've set up this action folder, and notice here we have two files in there right now that are unread. The trigger here is unread, and we're going to see that in just a minute. But notice these are them right here: Ward email group and IT infrastructure sector. So also notice before we get rid of these, notice here we have an attachment. Here we don't have an attachment. We're just going to click on here and say no attachment needed or mark as read. Once it does that, it actually goes out quickly, queries the API that goes into Outlook, says, okay, now give me anything again with no read. All right, that's the variable right there. It's got to be unread email. Okay, great. Unread and in action box, we're good to go. It's going to automatically appear, and when we click on this button or this button, save or no task needed, it automatically converts that message to read inside of Outlook. So that's kind of cool. So that's kind of what we're doing here. Let's take a look and see some of that code here. When we go here into get email, so we've set up, this is a vertical gallery with these text forms, and notice here that the blue boxes are direct feeds from the email message itself. Right? This is the subject of the email, the from of the email, the receive date and time, and then the body of the email. Notice all of it, which is really just the body, is converted into plain text. And we'll go through how to do that as well. Okay, so what is the standard here? We're using this connector that we added right here. We just clicked on data. It says add data. We click on it. We add the Office space 365 space, and then it'll come up with this. Pick Office 365 Outlook, associate it with your email address, and use the get emails. There's a lot of different switches in there that you can use. We're just using the get email switch. All right, put the squiggly, open parenthesis, squiggly. Fetch only unread true. So when we look at the email box, let's say, for example, we're looking through our email and we see, oh, we're just kind of cruising on down and we see this one here from Sydney Colby, and we want to read that, or we want to store it as something that we want to use for future search capabilities in our program. We're just going to drag this bad boy and put them over to action. Now, because we're doing that, we want to make sure that, there it is right there, make sure that we keep all of these as a reference too, so we don't want to just delete them. So this email box is going to have email in it that we're keeping and using inside of our Power Up. And this is kind of a backup mechanism as well, right? So in case something goes wrong, we always have the original. And if we want, if we want, we can actually reply to the email from this action box as well. So, but notice here we've got these two, Sydney and this one, and we already got rid of one. So we're going to refresh that just by going to one screen and coming back again. And then you're going to see right here at the bottom, see right here, that's all of the stuff from this S. Colby person. So notice it has no email attachment again, and this one does. So you can see it's working. It's just looking at that section. It's just looking at that get emails to make sure that it's unread. var top. So top means the top number, the total number of email that the gallery will support through this connector. The top number is 25, by the way. And so you would see a numeric value between 1 and 25 here. Now, why did I use this variable? And this is kind of the secret sauce. This variable is associated with that 24 and 25. And if you notice, when I was going from here to here, it would automatically refresh. You just saw it there. That's because here on the onVisible property for this screen, we were setting the variable to 24, then we're setting it to 25. I noticed that when I was troubleshooting, that if I change this top number, which is typically shown as 25, that the email API would refresh and my gallery would refresh. Because this isn't a gallery that we're pulling from a list, for example, we can't really refresh it. So we had to get a little creative. And that works perfect. So we use this to, oh man, sorry. We tricked the computer to think the top setting is 24. We turn back to 25, and as a result, we get the most updated information inside of our gallery. Again, only 25 at once. And then we tell it what folder path to go to. Now, because I want to keep all these emails as a record, then I tell it to go to the action folder. So if you notice here, if I go here, let's just say this one here, we're going to say, whoops. We're just going to say I hit publish on accident. Sorry about that. We're just going to say save the task, and yeah, we're going to hit here. We're going to say save this, no task needed, and once we do that, it's just going to disappear from our list. So that's why we're doing that. Okay, and then again, the action email box is where it's disappearing from. Okay, not the app. The email is not disappearing, just that it is unread, is disappearing, and then it doesn't show up here. Okay, so these 4 fields here are from the email message. These right here are from a list that I have, and basically what I'm doing is I'm saying I'm going to collect this information here, and I'm going to allow them to edit and do whatever they want to the information, and then when they get done, I'm going to ask them to hit save and have it save right into email. So let's just put in here test so that we know where it is, and we're just going to hit save. Now once it saves to the list, it's going to disappear as well because it doesn't need it anymore and it's been read, as you can see there. So let's go ahead and go over to that data set, which is Priority Manager, Priority Tasks, excuse me, and we're going to edit the data. And what we're looking for in this to validate that everything worked right is that we're looking for that entry we just made. Okay. All right. So I can't remember what the count was, but this is the information right here. So now we have, if we double click on that, we have all the data here, the work notes, right, that we put in, public notes, okay, and so we can see, and then the task name, remember we changed it to test, there's the task name. So everything seems to be working exactly like it was supposed to. And so that's kind of how you to do that. Now, when we hit save, again, just wanted to emphasize that we reset that variable so that you can see all of your email in real time inside of your gallery that you want to see there. Let's go ahead and work, and so that's kind of how you refresh, and we do that refresh, by the way, all the time. Well, not all the time. Whenever anybody goes in here, this is the patch command, but we have the two of the other, the reset and random time in here. But here we're going to write everything to the correct field or column inside the table. So minutes needed is the name of the column inside of the list. And then this text min2 dot text. So if there was something wrong, I could go there and I could see text min2 right there is just a date. Okay, so that's kind of how we get all of that. And that's kind of how the whole application from a refresh of the gallery works. See other videos related to this topic.